Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. I am so excited for this conversation today. Today, I am talking with Melissa Gilbo. She is a dynamic entrepreneur, heart-centered leader, and passionate advocate for women in business. She is the founder and CEO of the Women's Business League, also known as WBL, which is a national networking organization dedicated to fostering authentic connections and empowering female entrepreneurs. I've been part of WBL for over a year now, so I can't wait to have this conversation. Additionally, she leads Melissa Gilbo Consulting, where she mentors business owners to build impactful brands and communities. With over 2 decades of experience in the insurance industry, Melissa recognized the need for genuine networking opportunities. What began as an effort to generate clients evolved into a mission to create a supportive community for women in business. Since its inception in 2018, WBL has expanded from 5 local chapters to over 45 nationwide, emphasizing kindness, collaboration, and meaningful relationships. Melissa's dedication extends beyond entrepreneurship. She serves as a trustee with Awesome Georgetown, a global community philanthropy initiative, and is a board member of Walk by Moonlight, promoting local businesses and talent. As a PANS advocate, she brings awareness to pediatric autoimmune conditions affecting children. Her inspiring journey and insights have been featured on various panels, stages, publications, organizations, and podcasts, where she discusses intentional networking, leadership, and the power of authentic connections. Through her work, Melissa continues to inspire and uplift women, demonstrating that with passion and perseverance, it's possible to create a life of purpose and impact. She doesn't just build businesses, she builds movements. Melissa, I'm so glad you're here. I think we might have one or two things to talk about today.
I think so, yeah. I'm
Well,
so honored to be here. I know we've had this on the calendar for quite some time and we're finally here, so I'm ready
yes.
for all of this.
And what prompted me to reach out to you is because you posted something this was back in December before my elbow. We talked about this before we got on, but I put the podcast on hold. But you talked about stepping outside of your comfort zone, and that's what really prompted me. So have you been like exploring that this year? Has that been your goal in 2026 or just the last few years?
Oh my gosh. I don't think it's been my goal. I think it's my everyday. Like
Yeah,
stepping outside of my comfort zone, being outside of my comfort zone, being uncomfortable, scared, nervous, all the things. Like I definitely am living that daily.
right?
But it's so rewarding. It's so exciting. Like I can't wait to get out of bed in the morning because, I grew up in the insurance world.
Pretty predictable.
Predictable, pretty like mundane and not really fun and exciting to talk about. Like nobody wants to talk about their deductibles, you
Right.
know? So really stepping way outside of my comfort zone, like doing a podcast was something I had never done before. Being behind a microphone scares the crap out of me. It still does to this day.
Yeah.
Um, but like we're learning as we go, right?
I love that. I mean, I talk about being uncomfortable with my clients all day, every day, and here's the thing, nobody ever died by being uncomfortable, right? But our nervous system says danger, danger, danger. So
Yes.
then we stay comfortable. We stay in the familiar, right? Even myself, I was doing some journaling yesterday about self-sabotaging because I was like, why am I self-sabotaging? And I was like, oh, because that's comfortable and familiar. And I was like, son of a bitch, right? And I was like, damn, right? But it is. It's like it's comfortable, it's safe, it's familiar. So now you have to be like, oh, okay. In order to get what I want, I actually have to be willing to do the thing that I don't want to do.
That's right. And you hear those statements all the time. You hear, oh, growth is outside of your comfort zone. You hear it. But when you actually do it and feel it, you really understand that that statement is very powerful. Like growth absolutely happens on the edge or outside of that comfortability, you know?
And that doesn't mean like, I mean, I jumped out of a plane many years ago, not because I'm an adrenaline junkie, but because like it was one of those things in my journey of like, if I can do this, I can do anything. But I will say in the last few months, with breaking my elbow in February and then having knee surgery in April, and after the knee surgery, I had to spend 3 weeks on my sofa in a machine that moved my knee for 8 to 10 hours a day. That
Whoa.
was uncomfortable,
Yes.
right? Doing nothing for me for the last few months has been outside of my comfort zone and where my growth has happened. Because a few years ago, I would have been like anxious, and I actually bought a laptop tray to try and work while I was laying there. But because I was flat, the laptop tray was so close to my neck and on my chest that I actually couldn't type. And I was like, put it away. Right?
Yeah.
Like, so your zone doesn't have to be jumping out of a plane. It literally can be doing nothing. For most women, that is uncomfortable.
You're right. I never actually thought of it in the other
Yes.
way. Like I, I can feel that too. Like when I'm not doing something, I am very uncomfortable. I feel like I've got to be like, oh, should we be doing that? That is such an eye-opening perspective.
Yeah. Well, I talk a lot about like our addiction to busyness.
Yes.
And, we have different addictions: food, alcohol, drugs, and busyness. And as somebody who used to weigh 300 pounds, I have a very addictive behavior, right? I mean, I lost it like 30 years ago, but I used to weigh, so like, but what that, the difference is you're fat, you're a drunk, you're an addict. But when you're addicted to busyness, you get atta girls. Oh my God, Melissa, you're doing so much. Look at you go. But it's the same thing as like you're numbing something that feels uncomfortable. So you're just doing
Ooh.
it with with something that actually pats you on the back. So it can be a mind I effing, right? It can be a mind fuck,
Yeah.
right? So like it's the willingness to be uncomfortable in the nothingness. So that can be outside. So many women. I started a 4 week program last week, and I had the women for like 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes, just sit quietly. And some of them had a hard time because that is outside of their comfort zone. They're used to doing. So,
That's
yeah.
wild.
So
Wow.
being outside of your comfort zone doesn't have to be like getting on a stage or jumping out of a plane. It can be sitting quietly for 5 minutes.
I'm curious now. Like it would be so fun to like poll your listeners or get them in the comments, like once this podcast drops, like what is their zone of uncomfortability?
Comfortable.
What does
Yeah.
that look like for them? Yeah, that is so intriguing.
Yeah. I've been having a conversation with a client because she's like, it's so hard. It's so hard. And I was like, because that's what you're used to. So what if it doesn't have to be hard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So like thinking something could be easy can be uncomfortable because you're used to, yeah.
So
Right?
good.
Let's just sit with that for a minute
I know. We
and
dove
go.
right in. Francine, we like opened and dove in.
Right, right. So let's talk about connect. Connection is one of my top values, to my detriment sometimes, right? Like I could do this all day long and, I still have things I have to work on. But I love connections. I love connecting myself and I love connecting other women. And at one point I was a professional matchmaker for a couple of years. So like connections is like in my DNA.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is so cool.
It was
Okay.
really fun. But I'm just curious, like you did start WBL as a way to just generate clients for yourself, right? But tell me, at what point did you realize it had become something bigger and that it really was this movement, and it kind of took off?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the truth be told is, I spent my entire career in the insurance space, over 20 years, building my credentials and but it wasn't until I ended up leaving corporate, like the insurance corporate world, when I started my family. I have two boys, and I started working for a local insurance agency here in my hometown. I live in Georgetown, Mass. And I ended up becoming more of a producer, so more of that front facing sales role. And I didn't know what I was doing. I had never been taught because I mean, in corporate, we were more of like, we didn't have to build our own book of business. We didn't have to get out there and have a personal brand or sell or market. Like the calls came in, right? So this was a different shift for me. And I had really found like nobody taught me this in college or high school or even in my experience. I've never had to get out there and network. And I don't even like to use the word network, right?
Right.
So kind of had to figure it out. And I did all the things. I was showing up to many networking or events, but something was always missing inside. And I couldn't quite put my finger on that until I had started this kind of organic connection. And it was with my business partner back then, Amy Posick, where we had sat across the table from one another. We were just two strangers. She was in mortgages, I was in insurance. She was a boy mom, I was a boy mom, sat in a local pizza store in Georgetown. And that's where it started, this whole idea of bringing community together around connection. I remember leaning over to her and saying, "How can I help you?" And she's like, "Well, how can I help you?"
Mm.
And it was so vulnerable because we were sharing how hard it was to do all the things, like to be a mom and to, you had to get a babysitter, pay for the sitter to go out to do the networking thing. And it just was hard. And nobody's talking about that.
Yeah.
So
And I
that
don't
was
and
the
I don't
first,
know that people know how to network.
they, no, nope. Yeah. Like, what does that
Then there's
actually mean?
right.
Yeah.
Because people think it's like, hi, Melissa, I'm Francine. I'm a business coach. Do you want to hire me? And that isn't networking.
It's not. And that's what I was experiencing. So that was that something that was missing,
Yeah.
honestly, was relationships. I felt like the relationships were removed. So it felt like there was businesses and people. And I want to, like WBL, we're rewriting that and putting people first, and then the business will follow. So
Right.
that was really that first like aha moment that, my gosh, we could do this better. People don't know how to network. They don't know what it is. It's a heavy feeling. They hear the word and they cringe, but I know how important community and connections are to growing a business, right? Like I always say this, like how were businesses built before the WWW, before the internet?
Right.
Like think about it. How were businesses built?
I mean, it was introductions. It was like talking to your neighbor. It was talking to somebody at the store. It really was. It was, yeah, relationships.
So I want to bring that back because
Yeah.
it became transactional, very transactional, and it should be transformational. So that's the first aha moment where organically and naturally we started showing up and bringing people to the table. And we were showing up for each other because we wanted to, not because we had to. And the more we got to know each other, the more we were chatting about it on the soccer field, on the baseball field, at the grocery store. Like we actually became a sales force for each other because we knew each other and we wanted to genuinely help each other. So that is actually the very first seed of WBL and how it started.
I love that. I've been a coach for about almost 13 years now, last six full time. But when I first became a coach, I was at this event and I met these two women. And afterwards I was I don't know what networking is, right? I'm a corporate person, right? And I was like, do you guys want to network? I don't even know what that is, but like, do you want to network? And we got together and we created a small networking group that we ran for a couple of years. And then we didn't charge for it. Like there was, and I was the speaker every month. So it became a lot. And we were looking at how to change it. And one of the women actually joined a networking group that we all went into. But it really is, it's like people don't know how, and I'm in other groups, right? And it's interesting to me to see the difference. And in one group, I'll say to somebody, hey, would you like to have a virtual coffee after? And they're like, oh, I don't have time. And I'm like, but we're supposed to be building relationships here. I don't understand. I was like, okay, that's transactional. I don't know that they're my people, right? Where in other groups, WBL being one of them, it is about building relationships and having conversations and doing things collaboratively because it does make a difference. And you're going to support people that you know and say, oh, you need to talk to this person.
It makes all the difference in the world. And especially now, community, I've been doing a lot of research and reading and work around community. Um, the people that understand the value of connection and community, you being one of them, Francine, I know that's one of your values, are going to go farther, especially with AI coming out. Well, it's here, right?
Yeah.
AI is an incredible tool if used as a tool, but it can't replace connection. It
No.
can't replace community. It has to be all of it. And I feel like a lot of businesses or professionals are excluding the connectivity piece from their kind of like their business plan. It has to be the most important thing, in my opinion, is getting out there and meeting with people. And I just did a post yesterday, actually. You'll have to go read it on you can't become so busy that you stop meeting people.
Mm. And you know what? I will tell you that actually happened to me because connections is so important to me. When I first started I'm air quoting for those
Yeah.
listening, connection, when I first started networking, my calendar, I opened it up 5 days a week. You could I mean, and I would have connection after connection. And then at the end of the week, I was like, I didn't get anything done. But my soul was full because I was connecting with people. And I had to find this balance because it is like I would do this all day long and talk to people, and I had to find the balance. So then I pulled all the way back and didn't do any,
Ooh, no, no,
right?
yeah.
So it was like, and then I was missing it, right? And I was like, okay, all right, these are the days, right? And it's taken me, a lot of changes and playing with my calendar and what works and what doesn't, and how many can I handle a week? And I don't need to have 12 connections a week. I can have four, and that's a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So I always say like you should be intentional about like your networking. Here come the air quotes again.
yeah,
Uh so like for me, I always love blocking off Friday mornings for my connection, my coffee, my chats, whether it's virtual or in person. And I would actually almost like stack them back to back. So I would intentionally have 3 or 4 a week.
yeah.
And Fridays was kind of like my designated day, and it worked beautifully.
And
It
I
really
also realized I had to be conscious in choosing who I wanted to talk to, right? Because so many people, I'm like, oh my God, I love her, I love her, I love her, and she's great, and she's great, and she's great. And it also has to build business too for both of us, right?
one
So I had to get intentional of like, what businesses do I want to connect with that I can help and they can help me? And that person's cool too, and I want to talk to her, but here's the majority of where I'm spending my time.
1000%. You just hit it on the head. So, I mean, this is intentional, right? So, but there is no waste in terms of meeting with people. It's never a waste of time
Because you just
if
never know.
you just never know because you don't know who they know, who's in their network. So we do a lot of teaching within WBL, which I do a lot of it. I love sharing kind of like my best practices in how to network
Yeah.
because it should always be a mutual exchange. When you sit down and have coffee with somebody, you've probably researched them a little bit. You know who you're meeting with, but it needs to be that mutual exchange. You need to be the one leading this conversation. I've sat in that one-on-ones before, right? Where an hour would go by and the person across from me never even asked about me or what. They
Love
just
those. Yep, I've been on quite a few of those too.
they just dominated the whole conversation and spoke the whole time. So I'm telling you and all of your listeners, like we need to be responsible for that and
Yeah.
take charge of that conversation and say, hey, I'm so excited to meet you. I always love to set up a coffee chat. I've only got an hour. I've got another client meeting after this. I'd love to hear about you and your goals. And I'd also love to share with you what I've been up to. I have some big things in the works. So why don't you go first and then I'll share with you what I'm working on. So I want you to set that meeting up with intention, a direction, an agenda, if you will, and make sure there is that mutual exchange.
I love that. And I've tried to get better with that because I'm like like we did with this conversation, let's just jump in. And then
Yes.
at the end, and I'm a coach. I ask a lot of questions, right? So tell me about this. And then I'm like, wow, people don't ask questions, but like it's just like to me, I'm leading you. Just ask me the same question and I'll answer
That's
it,
right.
right? And
Yeah.
I was getting uncomfortable with being like, well, let me tell you about me. And I've tried to get better for the people who can't ask. And also sharing, like, oh, how can I support you? And this is how
That's
you can
right.
support me. Where I
That's
wasn't doing that for a really long time. It was just like, oh, it's so really nice to meet you, Melissa. Let's stay in touch. And then you never
oh,
do. And it moves on. But now it's like, how I ask the question, how can I support you? And then if they don't ask the question back, I will say, oh, and let me share what's going on with me, right? Because
right.
it really is about, yes, I want to get to know you, but we also have businesses. And I love that WBL, like I've been in some groups where it's like, no, no, you can't sell your business, just talk about you and then and like we are business people. We
Yeah.
are business women. And that was one of the things that when I first went to a WBL meeting, I was like, oh. And when I spoke, like each month somebody speaks. And when I talked about mine, I was like, what can I talk about? What can I not? And they were like, talk about your business. I was like, oh, I can talk about my business because I've been to other groups where it's like, no, you can teach something, but you can't sell anything, and not that I sold, but like you
Right.
can't talk about you and what you do. And I'm like, okay, all right, right. But like they were like, no, we want to get to know what you do in your business. And I was like, oh, okay, I can do that.
No, it's so important. Like, I don't think we get to ask for help enough, right?
Right.
Especially if we're talking about like women.
You want to
Um,
talk about uncomfortable
talk
women
about
asking.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, asking for help.
yeah.
And we get a point, in WBL to make sure we are asking for help. Like, I love doing the whole workshop on how to make a goal aligned specific ask.
Mm,
If you're asking for help that's aligned with a goal you're working towards, it's going to move the needle forward in your business. Like that's how you're going to get to where you need to go is to ask a table of 30 women for help. Like
right,
it's so powerful.
right. Because if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yeah. And you know what? That's on you. You
Right,
know, if you're not conducting a proper one-on-one with a mutual exchange or how can I help you, if you're not asking for help during a meeting, if you're out networking and you're not meeting other people, you're standing with people you already know, which is so that's comfortable, right? You go to a networking event or an event and you
right.
automatically congregate to the people you know, but that's not the point. You need to get out there and meet other people, which is uncomfortable, you
Yeah.
know?
I'd love to talk for a minute because I just had this experience last week I was at a chamber meeting, which is men and women, and I happened to have two different conversations with two different men. And they said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a business coach supporting women." And when I'm talking to women, my elevator pitch is a little different, but I just kind of let it go at that. And they both said to me, "Oh, is it different for men and women?" And I was like, well, yes, it is. And one gentleman was actually really curious. And he was
Okay.
like, so do you think men have the same struggles? And, I was like, I think they do. It just shows up a little bit differently for men. And, and the other guy was a little bit more not open to the conversation. Let's just say, he had different. So I'm curious, like this is women's business league and it is just for women. Why do you think men and women network differently and show up in business differently? Because I do think that it is different.
Yeah, I mean, I I think women automatically have it in them to be that get like the connector, the giver. Not to say that men don't, but we can't help ourselves sometimes, right? Like we must introduce you to this or here, try this, or have you thought about this? It's very organic and natural. Um, I don't know. I don't even know if there is a right answer. If there
Yeah.
is like an answer why it feels different. I'm curious, like, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think there's a few things. Like the first gentleman I was talking to, I said, well, I work with women who are stuck and, blah, blah, blah. And he said, do you think men aren't stuck? And I said, oh, no, I do think they are. I just think it shows up differently. Right. I actually used my husband as an example, right?
Oh,
Because my husband learned years ago that he's a perfectionist. And we had this conversation around the house around like, oh my God, you don't ever finish projects. And one of the things he realized through his own coach and whatever, right, is that when he finishes a project, then he can be judged for it. And he has a really strong inner critic, right? Now, not a
oh,
lot of men are doing working with coaches or therapists, right, to get to that point where women know that they have a strong inner critic, right? We are hard on ourselves. And
yeah,
it's not that I don't think men aren't hard on themselves. I think it just shows up differently, right? Like how many women talk about how much weight they've gained, or, they are quiet at the boardroom table and don't speak up for themselves, right? Or they say, the biggest thing I'm seeing lately is they walk into a room and they say, I'm sorry. They apologize for everything. I had a coach years ago. She was doing a radio interview, but I don't know, pre-podcast, I guess, radio interview. And she said, women will walk into a room and apologize, right? Or even look at an email that you send. I just want to blah, blah, blah. Like you're justifying. Men don't do that. They just walk into a room and start talking. So I don't
right.
think we just have a different set of challenges and they just show up differently.
Yeah, no, I agree. And to be quite honest with you, when I was talking about the seed, the start of Women's Business League, remember I said, I leaned over and I said,
Yeah.
"How can I help you?" And she's like, "How can I help you?" And I had brought some people to the table, and so didn't she. And we met like that organically and naturally for over 8 months. And there was no like intention or anything.
Right.
It just organically happened. But when we looked around the table, the people that kept showing up for one another happened to be all women. And that's
Mm.
how Women's Business League got its namesake. It wasn't like we weren't,
It wasn't like you were keeping it just to women. It just kind of organically happened. Yeah.
and we show up, we definitely show up. So yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. And I think it's
Yeah.
something that is like open-ended and people can just kind of round table that one
Yeah,
for,
no, it's
yeah,
just because I've had different conversations with different people of how women and men just show up differently,
yeah,
and neither's right or wrong, but it's just curious.
yeah.
I'd love to talk about the young professional division that I don't know, is it a division? What do you want to call it that you just
Yeah.
started? Because I do think it's an important conversation. I wish I had it when I was a young professional, right? What inspired you to create it?
Oh, this is like my whole heart. Like I am so proud to have this community for young professionals. I think what inspired me was what you just said. Like where was this when I needed it?
Yeah.
I wish I had this when I was a young professional. So this has been on my heart for a long time. And I started doing a lot of speaking at colleges. Like I loved going into some of the colleges, speaking to their women in business clubs, maybe their entrepreneurship classes, and really like listening and hearing. And I never want to talk at people. Like I don't even say that I'm a speaker because I'm not. But I love to have those conversations, those two-way conversations where we're talking with each other, not
Yeah.
at each other. And what I had learned through some of those moments is that these young professionals need community.
Hmm.
One of the girls just I was talking to not too long ago, she just graduated from college and she's like, Melissa, I feel like I just fell off of a cliff. And that hit
Yeah.
me so hard. She's like, I've been in community my entire life. Like, think about it. You're in preschool, grade school, elementary, high school, college, clubs, book clubs, the band, chorus,
Right.
sports. And then all of a sudden, whether you graduate from high school, a trade school, whatever it might be, college, it all stops.
Hmm. Yep.
So I want to be kind of that warm hug that I want to catch them when they're falling off that cliff and welcome them into the WBL Young Professionals community, where it's all these young professionals. You all are having the same questions, thoughts, worries. But the cool thing is that we have the bigger WBL of women that are so incredible from across the country, all different industries, all different brackets of their business, whether they're just starting or they're veterans in their business that can mentor these young professionals.
I love that.
We can also do deliberate and intentional programming for the young professionals. So we can guest in some of our women from WBL and really give them the foundation and the knowledge they're looking for. Like there's a lot they learn in college and high school, but then there's a lot they don't learn.
Right. I'm curious, are they all entrepreneurs or could they also be going into professional roles as well? So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. And the age bracket, there's not really like a hard age bracket, but it's
Yeah.
generally like your 18-year-olds into like late 20s,
Okay.
early 30s, right? It's like
Yeah.
kind of like that job before the career. But how cool would it be to be able to come into a network where you're meeting all these incredible women, you're building a network around you, you're exploring, you're learning, you're being mentored. And I really feel like this is going to be the spot where you're going to find your career.
Yeah. I love that. What are the younger women in business struggling most with right now? Is it just that shell shock of like, now what?
That for sure. Another one that really hit my heart was confidence.
Mm. That word has been coming up so much for me lately.
Really?
Every single woman I've talked to, and these aren't young professionals, these are older women, confidence. That's
Okay.
what's stopping them. Confidence. That's what's stopping them. And I have this 4-week program that I'm working on right now, and I'm doing the second module, and we're talking about trust, self-trust. And people think that they'll trust themselves when they feel more confident, but it's really the opposite, right?
Opposite.
Confidence will create the trust,
That's right. You gotta flip
right?
that. Yeah.
And I used to run call centers and I ran customer service teams, and I used to say to my staff, you don't need to be confident that you have the answer. You just need to be confident that you're going to get them the answer.
That's right.
Right? Like it isn't all about you having to do it, but you have resources,
That's right.
and you don't have to resolve it on the spot. Just say to them, I will get back to you, and then actually follow through and get back to them, and then you've resolved it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, what else I'm really starting to put this message out because I think it's really important for anybody to hear is that you can borrow somebody's confidence, right?
Mm,
I want these young women to borrow my confidence, um, somebody else's confidence in the groups. Because, for example, they're petrified of walking into a networking event, an in-person event. So it's like, great, we're gonna have some opportunities where you all are gonna be able to do that, and you're gonna walk in with me, and you're gonna borrow my confidence to walk inside of that room until you don't need it anymore. And they were like, oh wow, yeah, I would definitely do that. So it's little moments like that that really make a difference for young professionals or experienced professionals.
and I think sometimes, even if you're not 100% feeling confident, like also how you carry yourself, how you project yourself, right? Like when I used to lead teams, sometimes, I mean, I remember one time where I ran a call center and my phone system went down.
Yeah.
And one of my supervisors was like, "Why are you so calm?" And I was like, "Well, how would it look if I was running around like a crazy person?" Like I just went, "Okay, this is happening. Now I
Right.
need to take care of this." Inside, I was a little like, "Ooh, this is a problem." But at the same time, if I didn't ex didn't show confidence or I've got you all, don't worry, I'm in charge, If I was like, oh no, the phones are down, then what was that going to do for the people underneath me?
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, these young women, they need these skills that are not really taught inside of a classroom. Um, whether it be confidence or a lot of them, some
Or
of this,
even network. Like we don't teach soft skills at
no,
all.
that's the word I was looking for
Yeah,
is
soft because when I used to be in customer service, I've been in customer service since I was 14, serving popcorn at the movie theater. To me, it was effortless, but I realized people don't know how to interact. They knew which keys to hit, but they didn't actually know how to talk to somebody on the phone.
That's right. That's right. And you know what? This generation of leaders that are coming up have grown up behind the phone or behind
Yes.
the screen, right? So
Yes.
I really want to get them up from behind that screen. And it's those soft skills again, right? It's the walking into the room, having a conversation face to face. One of the girls was like, "Oh my gosh, Melissa, I was so afraid to pick up the phone and order a pizza." I was like, okay.
My 19-year-old niece will call me and I'm like, who's dead? What's wrong? She's like, hi, Auntie,
Yeah,
can I? And she does pick up the phone, but it makes me like something's wrong.
I know that is like that's not a good thing.
I know, right? So I've got like because now she calls me for silly things or whatever. I don't, but like the first few times I was like, kids don't call. What's wrong?
What's wrong? Yeah.
Oh
So
my
it,
God.
it's really bringing back kind of what we talked about in the beginning. Like, what was it like before the WWW?
Right.
You
Right.
know, um, in bringing some of those skills back, and whether it's through networking or you know interviewing. They're really wanting these skills. So we're bringing in folks from WBL and teaching them interviewing skills. We're teaching them about LinkedIn. We're teaching them so many different things. Their 401k, they have so many questions.
Right.
So it's critical to be able to fill those gaps for them. I mean, these women are our next generation of leaders. So investing in this demographic and these women are so important.
I love that. I love that.
That's WBL and the YP. And what we're also looking for is businesses that align with this mission and vision of supporting our next generation of leaders and potentially like sponsoring maybe a young professional into the program or I even had a vision of like a big bank saying, "Oh my gosh, I love what you guys are doing. I want to sponsor 5 YPs."
Yeah.
So that's kind of like our next evolution of being able to really get some more of these young professionals access to this community.
I love
And
that.
it's national because they meet on Zoom. So
Okay.
it runs like a chapter meeting, but it's
Okay.
on Zoom. So we can welcome in, these young professionals from all over the country.
And is all that information on the WBL website? Okay. And all that'll be in the show notes.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I always love ending with this question. What is something you live by that you want to share with the listeners?
Wow. And then again, no thought, no prep here. So let me just pull. I think one of the things, like personally, that I find really, really important and like nothing is perfect, right?
Hmm.
My journey has been so hard, so rocky. There's been a lot behind kind of where I am today. And I want the listeners to know that even in the hards, there's going to be hards, but I don't ever want to let that hard harden you.
Ooh, I love that. Don't let that hard harden you.
Don't let
Ooh,
the hard harden you.
yeah.
And I think that's a really important message. And I think, there's a lot that goes into that. That's probably a whole nother show, quite
Right.
honestly.
Right.
Because there are some lessons in the hard, right?
And
There
I
are
think you can't see it when you're in it.
can't.
That's the biggest thing is you actually can't see it when you're in it, but when you're out of it, you're like, oh, okay, I get it now. All
But
right.
I do think, when you're in that hard, community is so important.
Yeah.
Isolation can lead to so many different mental health roads and such. So really, I am such a huge component of being in community, whether it's a book club or the pickleball or whatever that looks like in your life. I just really want people to find that space that they can belong and feel seen and heard. Because hards are going to happen. They're
Yeah.
unpredictable. So yeah, I think that would be kind of my ending message.
I can remember a couple of months ago, I went to one of my WBL meetings. So I was healing my elbow. I also, in between all that, had to have a breast biopsy, which ended up being okay, but had to have the breast biopsy. And then, like 2 weeks later, I had the knee surgery. And I went into my WBL meeting, and I think it was the leader. She was like, "How you doing?" I was like, "Do you want to
Okay.
really know? I'm doing shitty right now." She's like, "Okay, me too." And we just like, no, there wasn't a like, "Oh, I'm good." Like, when things are hard, it is important to have people around you that you can
Yes.
actually be truthful and honor and honest with, right? Because it isn't all roses and sunshine. And if
Not.
we
It's
pretend
not.
like it is, there's like we feel that. Like when you're
Right.
not being authentic, it comes across.
Oh,
Yeah.
1000%. So
Right.
yeah.
All right, so I always end by pulling a card. So we're pulling from my deck from busy to being. These are available on my website. Use the code being to get $11 off of them. So in front of me, Melissa, I have three cards, left, right, and center. Tell me which one you are which one is choosing you.
I think right. Right.
Right. That's it, right. Okay. So right. You are safe. And on the back, it says, where can you begin to feel safe in your body? Because
Ooh.
when we aren't feeling safe, like I do a lot of work around the nervous system, and like my body has been giving me lots of messages over the last few years, right? Like, and the message that I've learned is like I've been bracing for so long that like I had my hip replaced, my knee replaced, I need other joints, right? Like I've been bracing and I didn't pay attention to it. So now all that bracing is now showing up, right? So, like,
Yeah.
where can you find that safety, even if it's just like your little thumb and that feels safe, right? Just breathe into it. All
Ooh.
right. So, for those of you listening, if you chose center, oh my God, can I just tell you? I love when these cards reflect our conversation. This literally is what I just said. If you don't ask, the answer is always no.
So good.
Your willingness to be vulnerable and ask for what you need is a sign of great strength,
Oh my gosh. That I could have been center too.
right? And then if you chose left, busyness is not a badge of honor. Busyness is a shield. Slow down and listen to what your heart needs. And I will add because your brain lies to you 100% of the time.
Francine, I feel like the cards were listening to the conversation.
Every single conversation that I have, the cards get pulled and they literally, and I pulled them before the conversation starts. So they've
That's
been
right.
sitting here. Yes, they've been sitting here. I don't even look at them and they always reflect the conversation. So I absolutely love that. Melissa,
Wow.
thank you so much for being here. I feel like we could continue talking for a really long time. This has been such an honor, and all of Melissa's contact information, all of the information for WBL will be in the show notes. Melissa, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was amazing.